welcome back to Let's Make a Game, a channel about making computer role-playing games using the free program Twine and the Sugarcube format for Twine. In this video, I would like to continue talking about my current project of trying to code a complete game in 30 days, which I'm calling the 30-day challenge. This is day 3 of that challenge. Before I go any further, I'd like to correct a mistake that I made in my previous video. I talked about one of the possible characters and I referred to them as he, but in fact I made sure not to have anything in the character descriptions that specifies whether the character is male or female. All of the characters you can think of as male or female, and I'm going to set up the plot so that that is the case as well. So I just didn't think about the words I was using, that's all. Anyway, in this video I would like to talk about not the coding of the game, but the planning before the coding. Specifically, I'm thinking about the plot of the game, albeit, of course, it's a choose-your-own-adventure style game, so the plot is not going to be the same each time, but there is a limited number of plots that can happen. And in particular, how small can I make the plot? Because this has a set time limit, albeit it's one that I've just invented for myself, I can't work in the way that I would probably prefer to work, which is just thinking of new features and adding features as I go and not really worrying about any set finish time. I'd like to just keep adding more plot ideas, and then probably those plot ideas would suggest other plot ideas. Oh, you go into an arena, well maybe you can meet someone who helps you escape, and then maybe that person is connected to organised crime, or maybe that person is connected to some sort of resistance movement in the city, or etc., etc. And so each new idea suggests new ideas, and the thing keeps growing. Well, I have to kind of curb my tendency to do that because it's got to be done within a specific amount of time. So I thought to myself, well, what's the smallest plot that I can make? And then I can get that done, and then if I do get that done, well then now I can add more things. But at least I know that I'm not going to sort of end up with a half-finished or third-finished or quarter-finished project. And I think the minimum is defined by the advantages and disadvantages which I've given to the characters. You might remember that you have 4 possible characters. Each of them has an advantage and a disadvantage. Some of those are to do with attributes, and that's quite easy to code. You just say, well, if they're playing this character, then their willpower is high or low or whatever it may be. But most of them are personality traits that aren't tied to a specific attribute, or skills that aren't tied to a specific attribute. So, for example, the scientist, you find it difficult to keep your mouth shut, which you might say, well, that's sort of like charisma, it's sort of like willpower, but it's not, it's more specific than that. And so what I need to do is have some point in the story where it might be relevant if you find it difficult to keep your mouth shut. So mechanically, that might mean that every character gets a roll against willpower or something like that, and if they succeed, they keep their mouth shut, and if they fail, they don't, but the scientist automatically fails instead. Similarly, the gambler is experienced in surviving on the streets. So I might have a point in the plot where you're having to sleep on the streets, and maybe the gambler can sort of automatically pass that, but the other characters have to make choices and roll against attributes to see if they take any damage or end up in trouble or whatever. And so the minimum plot, I think, is one that covers all of these points. And more specifically, if it's a bad point, if it's a disadvantage, it can't be something that will always happen and will kill the character, because then the character with that disadvantage would always lose the game. And if it's an advantage, it can't be something that helps you win, that makes you win the game, and that always happens, because then that character would always win the game, or at least they'd always win if they got to that point. They would probably experience it as a bit too easy. They have to be things that are the result of choices and can be avoided. So I've started writing a sort of not quite a flowchart, but a series of descriptions of the different scenes and where they take you. So, for example, landing on the planet can take you to meeting these particular people, and so I've noted that. And that's what I will be talking about in the next video, because we are running out of time for this one. So I will leave it there for now. I hope that was useful or interesting to at least some of you, and I hope you will tune in next time.